Hi, it's Mitch from Pickdawgz.com here with the free pick in the BYU versus Fresno State college basketball matchup on Friday, December 1st, 2023. Of course, we give out tons of free picks every single day, and people ask us all the time, which games do you like the best? Well, those are the ones we put under the premium picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. You can use the discount code PICK, get 15% off. We also have Dime Club and Sharp Trading Plays meant for people who make bigger bets. If that's you, text the number that you see on the screen and find out all about it. Like I said, not available on the website. So if you make big bets, text. But let's get to this one. BYU taking on Fresno State. You know, sometimes we see teams take that jump into a bigger conference, like we saw BYU do in football, and of course Cincinnati in football, and other teams that went to the Big 12 this season. And some of those teams just in UCF, some of those teams just not as good in that particular sport in that year. And you're kind of just like, oh man, maybe moving up in the conference is too much for them. But I think what it happens is a lot of times that happens in down years, and we saw that when TCU entered the Big 12 as well. They were in a down year, and then a couple of years later they ended up playing in the national championship game, the first team from the Big 12 in the BCS era, or at least in the playoff era to do so. But the thing is that when we look at this BYU team and Cincinnati as well, when it comes to college basketball, oh man, the Big 12, they're going to be thinking twice about letting new teams in, because these guys are an absolute handful this season. And BYU, while they're ranked, in the top 25 or anything like that, I can see these guys giving any team in the nation fits. They are playing at a very, very high level, and they are blowing teams out of the building because they are really, really good on both ends of the floor. And that's what you see the very, very best teams are able to do, like the Houstons of the world. But I think actually at this point, BYU actually doing it better than Houston. Houston is better defensively. Houston's another team that entered the Big 12 too. So I mean, that conference is just off the chain difficult this year. But we look at BYU defensively, and teams shooting just 38% from the floor against these guys. They are just absolute home wreckers. And then 3-point shooting percentage, fourth best defensively in the nation, team shooting just 22%. And then it just gets worse for opponents, because when you go offensively, well, they're the best 3-point shooting team out there. And they are one of the top shooting teams from the floor at 48.9%. So it's not like they're just good on one side of the floor or the other. Fresno's not a horrible team, but they're not quite anywhere near the class of BYU, especially this season. And BYU, a lot of times you say, well, maybe they didn't play anybody. Well, they beat San Diego State, who played in the final last year, who has a lot of good players still on that team. They beat Arizona State like a drum by 28 points, and then they beat NC State by 9 points in the game they were only laying 6.5. Yeah, they played some softer opponents in there as well, but certainly are laying out the damage there. Meanwhile, Fresno State hasn't really played anybody nearly this level. They played James Madison 2 games back. They were 4.5-point dogs in that game. They lost by 31, and I think this game probably going to be maybe even worse than that. I'm going to take BYU, and that's going to be my free pick. Of course, while you're doing your picks today, putting your bets in, be sure to use our free betting tools at sportschatplace.com. They are 100% free, and they'll tell you how often historically each of the bets on the board today have actually hit. Pair them with today's odds, putting you on the most favorable bets today.